So in today's video, I want to talk about two things that I need you to start doing before you start making money on YouTube. And I'm going to explain what those two things are in detail in this presentation. So let's get into it. First, you need to have trust and credibility on YouTube. If you don't have trust and credibility, it's just the money is really not going to matter. And I'm going to get into the breakdown of these two important things. All right, so why it matters. People follow those who believe and feel safe, that they feel safe with, rather. Knowing the difference helps build a better relationship, an audience, a business, a content creator, and a family man, your life. This could really help you, whether it's in your life or within content creation. And if you don't have these two things, it can really affect your YouTube channel. So let's just keep moving forward. What is credibility? Credibility is believable. If you don't have credibility, then what is the point of having a YouTube channel, right? And with credibility, do you know what you're talking about? Because there's creators out there who will mislead you and misguide you on credibility. You might think they have credibility, but they really don't. And what does credibility consist of? It consists of expertise. Are you an expert about what you're talking about? Not everybody's an expert in everything. A lot of people, a lot of creators are new to the platform, so they're just starting to build that credibility, build that audience, and build that trust. And along with that credibility, are they accurate? Is there accuracy within that expertise? Are they accurate of what they're telling you? Are they really telling you information that's accurate, right? If they're getting tons of subscribers, if they're getting, tons of views on YouTube, if they're making tons of money, is it accurate? Are they giving you those receipts? I'll go back to the receipts. Are they giving you receipts to show you that it's accurate? You just don't know. And also with credibility, this is something I need to work on, is clear communications. Not every time I say something, comes out clean or clear a lot of times. That's something I'm, trying to work on myself personally, is having clear communications, because when you do that and you're on camera, that could, that can increase your credibility, right? And consistency, right? I mean, what are we on here, for on YouTube, consistency rather. You're here to post consistently and be consistent as far as your upload schedule, right? As far as when you want to post your content on this platform, that's all part of credibility. So what is trust, right? Trust is an emotional confidence. Could not been said any better than that. Can you count on them? Can you count on that YouTuber, that content creator? Can you count on what they're telling you, right? It's very important. And to build on that, you're going to have integrity, good intentions, and, reliability. Can you rely on that person? If there's something that you either rely on them, as far as growing your YouTube channel, can you rely on them? Can you rely on what they're telling you? That's something you got to think about, because you can't rely on everybody on this platform. A lot of times it comes out, that the skeletons are in the closet, if you will. What they're telling you is not true, or they have done it somewhere else, or they're doing things on this platform and people are catching on. Are you reliable? That's trust. That's, trust within. When you get that funny feeling in your stomach that something's just not right, to me, for myself, that's trust, right? If you get that feeling, you're going to lose that trust. And, being with that, it's an emotional connection Trust is an emotional connection that you have with that creator, that YouTuber. So some real life examples of this, I'll use a doctor for an example. As far as being credible, doctors know the science and presents it well. They go to school to be a doctor. Doesn't just because they go to school doesn't mean they're creditable. Credible doctors. I've been to several different doctors for what I thought for myself was high blood pressure, right? And a lot of them knew the science, but they just didn't know common sense, right? And I finally found a doctor that knows the science and, presents it well. She tells me, this is why which is why I think you have high blood pressure. Let's start you on medication, right? And for myself, that's sharing that they're trustworthy, right? She listened to what I had to say, my new doctor. My old doctor said, "Nope, nope, you're fine. Your blood pressure is high, but you're okay. You don't need medication." My doctor, she listened to me. She followed up with me with, future visits, to ask me how the medication's going. Same thing with YouTube. YouTube is the same way with a real life example, and they care about your well-being, right? Creators, content creators, YouTubers, if I want to grow on my YouTube channel, I want to see you grow as well, right? That's, I'm listening to what people are telling me in my comments, and I'm following up with either future videos or I'm following up with comments, replies to the comments. And, in most cases, like I said, I'll do a video, you know, and when you respond back to your comments and you follow up with different videos or even mention somebody in your video, it's showing you care, right? And that's how you build your trust, right? And that's how you can build credibility as well. How to grow on YouTube, know the science and present it well, right? That's something I'm still trying to master, presenting it well. If I learn something, I want to share it with my viewers. That's having credibility, being credible. There's YouTubers that I like to watch who speak upon other creators that leave you a bad taste in your mouth, right? And at first you had to build the trust, is what they're telling you true? And when you find out that's true, that's being credible. Not only do they know it, but they're presenting it to you. So not only, it's a two-way street. You have, credible and trust. Once you gain those two things, I really think you will be on your way on this platform. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you like these type of videos. Hit the bell button to be notified when these videos drop. As always, you know what to do. Later.